Today we need to talk about something pretty important, something that could impact all of us, especially those of you who like to be prepared. Tariffs, specifically on food coming from China. You know how it is, things are getting tense, and these tariffs could really shake things up at the grocery store. Price hikes, shortages, the whole 9 yards, and the clock is ticking, folks. January 20th, that's the day things could really start to change. Now, I'm all about being self-reliant, taking care of yourself and your family. That's why I'm putting this out there. We need to get ahead of this thing. We're going to go deep on specific foods you should consider stocking up on before these tariffs potentially hit. We're talking about things you probably eat every day and might not even realize how much of it comes from China. So, grab a notebook and let's dive into this. Tilapia. It's cheap, it's mild tasting, it's everywhere, right? But here's the thing, folks. A whopping 78% of it comes from China. Think about that for a second. Now, I'm not saying all tilapia from China is bad, but there have been concerns, real concerns, about the conditions in some of these fish farms. Pollution, antibiotics, you name it. And this isn't just some fringe conspiracy theory, people. There have been reports, studies even, that have found traces of chemicals and banned substances in some of this imported fish. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get sick from eating tilapia, but it's something to think about. And with these tariffs looming, the price of this stuff is likely to skyrocket. So maybe consider some alternatives. There are plenty of other fish in the sea, right? Support your local fishermen, try some different recipes. It's all about being informed and making the best choices for you and your family. Don't just blindly grab the cheapest thing at the store. Do your research, know where your food is coming from. It matters. Cod. Another popular fish, often a staple in many diets, but here's the kicker. Over 50% of the cod we eat in this country comes from China. And it gets even fishier, my friends. Get this, studies have shown that up to 60% of that imported cod is mislabeled. Mislabeled. That means you might think you're buying healthy, delicious cod, but you're actually getting something else entirely. Could be a different kind of fish altogether. Maybe something cheaper, maybe something less desirable. Who knows? And that's the problem, isn't it? We just don't know what we're getting when we're talking about imported seafood. So, what's the solution? Well, for starters, ask questions. Talk to your fishmonger, find out where your cod is coming from, look for labels that certify sustainable fishing practices. And again, consider alternatives. There are plenty of other delicious, healthy fish out there. Don't be afraid to branch out and try something new. Your taste buds and your body will thank you for it. Moving on from the sea, let's talk about something a little more earthy. Mushrooms. Love them or hate them, they're everywhere, right? In our stir-fries, on our pizzas, even in our coffee now. But did you know that a surprising amount of those mushrooms are coming from China? We're talking 43%, folks. Almost half of the mushrooms consumed in this country are shipped in from overseas. Now, I'm not here to demonize all Chinese mushrooms, but again, it's about transparency and knowing what you're getting. There have been concerns raised about the use of pesticides and other chemicals in some Chinese agricultural practices. And with mushrooms, which are like little sponges, absorbing everything from the environment, it's something to consider. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up mushrooms altogether, but maybe start paying attention to where they're sourced. Look for locally grown mushrooms, or even better, try growing your own. It's actually easier than you might think. Garlic, the backbone of so many delicious dishes. But here's the thing. Did you know that over 23% of the garlic consumed in the US comes from China? That's right, almost a quarter of this essential ingredient is shipped in from overseas. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal about garlic? Well, it's not just about the garlic itself, it's about what it represents. It's about relying on another country for a staple ingredient. It's about the potential for supply chain disruptions, price hikes, and even quality concerns. There have been reports of Chinese garlic being bleached and treated with chemicals to prevent sprouting and extend shelf life. Now, I'm not saying all Chinese garlic is bad, but it's something to be aware of. So what can you do? Well, for starters, check the labels. Look for garlic that's grown in the USA. Support your local farmers markets. And if you're feeling adventurous, why not try growing your own garlic? It's surprisingly easy and incredibly rewarding. Apple juice. Seems pretty American, right? Apple pie, baseball, all that jazz. Because a whopping 70% of the apple juice consumed in this country comes from, you guessed it, China. That's right, 70%. Now I know what you're thinking. Apple juice from China? How is that even possible? Well, it turns out China is the world's largest producer of apples, and a lot of those apples end up being turned into juice concentrate, which is then shipped to the US, where it's mixed with water and bottled. Now, I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with Chinese apple juice, but again, it's about knowing where your food is coming from and making informed choices. There have been concerns raised about the use of pesticides and other agricultural chemicals in some Chinese apple orchards. And with juice concentrate, which is essentially just concentrated apple flavor, any potential contaminants are also concentrated. So, what's the solution? Well, for starters, check the labels. Look for apple juice that's made with 100% US-grown apples. Support your local apple farmers. And if you're feeling really ambitious, why not try making your own apple juice at home? It's easier than you might think and tastes way better than anything you can buy in the store. Tea. I start every day with a cup of the good stuff, and I know I'm not alone. But here's the thing. A significant portion of the tea we consume in this country comes from China. Now, China is famous for its tea, and for good reason. They've been cultivating and brewing tea for centuries. But with these tariffs looming, the price of tea could be impacted. And it's not just about the price, it's about availability. If those supply chains get disrupted, we could be looking at shortages, and nobody wants to be caught without their tea, right? So, what's the solution? Stock up, my friends. If you're a tea drinker, now is the time to stock up on your favorite varieties. Buy an extra box or two, or even a whole case if you have the space. And if you're feeling adventurous, why not explore some different types of tea? There's a whole world of flavor out there, from black tea to green tea to white tea to herbal infusions. Spices, the things that make our food sing, that add depth and complexity to our dishes. But here's the thing, a lot of the spices we rely on are heavily imported from China. We're talking cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, star anise, cloves, the list goes on. And with these tariffs looming, the price of these essential ingredients could be going up. Now, I'm all for supporting American farmers and buying local whenever possible. But the reality is, some things just don't grow well in certain climates, and spices are one of those things. So what's the solution? Again, it comes down to being prepared. Take a look at your spice rack. What are some of your go-to spices, the ones you use all the time? Make a list and consider stocking up. Buy an extra jar or two of your favorites. It might cost a little more up front, but it could save you money in the long run. And who knows? Maybe this will inspire you to get a little more adventurous in the kitchen. Try some new recipes, experiment with different flavor combinations. You might be surprised at what you come up with. Last but not least, let's talk about something crucial for our health: vitamin C. We need it to boost our immune systems, fight off infections, and stay healthy. But here's the thing. A staggering 90% of vitamin C supplements come from China. That's right, 90%. Now, I'm not saying all Chinese-made supplements are bad, but there have been concerns raised about quality control and potential contaminants. And with something as important as our health, it's not something we want to gamble with. So what's the solution? Well, for starters, look for American-made vitamin C supplements. There are some great companies out there that produce high-quality supplements right here in the USA. And if you're really serious about your health, you can also get vitamin C from whole food sources. Citrus fruits, berries, leafy greens, these are all great sources of vitamin C. So there you have it, folks, a few things to think about as we navigate these uncertain times. Remember, knowledge is power. The more informed we are, the better prepared we'll be to handle whatever comes our way. We covered a lot of ground today, but the takeaway is simple. Be prepared. With these tariffs potentially on the horizon, it's more important than ever to be mindful of where our food comes from and to have a plan in place. I'm all for free trade and all that, but I'm also for supporting American businesses and American workers. And if these tariffs help to level the playing field and bring back manufacturing jobs to this country, I'm all for it. But in the meantime, we need to be smart. We need to be prepared. Stock up on those essentials, explore some alternatives, and support your local farmers and businesses whenever possible. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay healthy.